Welcome to Green Disruptors, where we spotlight the change makers shaping a more sustainable world. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Cohen, head of sales at Cambium, a company transforming how the world values wood. Cambium takes trees that would otherwise end up as waste from storm damage, urban development, or natural aging, and gives them a second life as high-quality, traceable lumber. Through their technology platform, Cambium connects arborists, sawmills, and manufacturers to create what they call carbon smart wood, a transparent, data-backed, and scalable solution for lowering emissions in the built environment. In this episode, Jeff shares how Cambium is building a new marketplace for salvaged wood, tackling misconceptions about reclaimed materials, and scaling a business that literally speaks for the trees. Hey Jeff, welcome to Green Disruptors.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Megan.
Yeah, this will be a fun conversation. So first of all, tell us where you are in the world.
I'm actually in Connecticut. This is where my home office is. Usually I spend a lot of time on the road, but currently you caught me in the home office.
Yeah, that's always good. A good place to be.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk cadmium. Is that how you say it?
Cambium.
Cambium. Okay, I'm going to delete that out because I needed
good.
to have it in front of me. I got it confused with the periodic table.
Yeah, no. Cadmium, also important, good element, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cambium, my bad.
Cambium.
So anyway, we're going to talk about Cambium today. But first, let's talk a little bit about you and what led you to Cambium.
Yeah, very cool story. Actually, I was working in the built environment already. I was working for a technology company, working with architects and designers to leverage technology, things like lighting control, automation. So I had a lot of experience in the built environment, but wanted to go and actually get more skills when it came to running a business and managing a team and understanding more about how to run a small business. And so I went back to school and got my MBA. And that MBA
Nice.
was really focused on sustainability as well. And during that journey, not only did it open my eyes to the bigger world around me and that my dreams, my goals, what I wanted to accomplish by going back to school was actually too small.
That's cool.
Really not big enough. Yeah, so it was very cool. And that's actually where I met the CEO of Cambium. And he was just getting the company started. They had the 3 co-founders and 1 other employee. And I decided that it was a great opportunity at the moment to use my skill set to jump into a company that was trying to change the world and do something better, and really combine a lot of my past experience at the same time.
Nice. So tell us how they're trying to change the world, maybe how it started, and maybe if that's evolved now.
Yeah, great. Well, the mission's been the same since day one, which is what really attracted me. Cambium is trying to have a really concrete, simple solution to the climate crisis and use really simple, natural ways to do that. Like there's lots of cool companies out there trying to solve the climate crisis and trying to lower our carbon emissions across lots of sectors. But what first attracted me to Cambium was just the simplicity of the idea and the scale at which it operates at. And so when Ben first talked to me about it, it was all these trees that come down every single day across the country. Trees that come down because of disaster, because of fire mitigation practices that are happening out west, things like even development, right? The scaling, growing
Right.
population. All these trees continue to come down. Some of them are just end of life, old age. And
Right.
you think about trees coming down, right? And you think, oh man, that sounds very small, or it sounds like, oh, someone's backyard. But the problem is massive. Like just in US cities alone, there's nearly 40 million trees that come down every single year. And that number keeps
That's a lot.
growing.
Yeah.
It's a ton. So once I found
I was
out
going to say, if you've ever done any hiking, you'll be like, well, yeah, they're all over the place.
all over the place, yeah. And when you see that, if you could take that material, if you could turn it into durable goods and lock up that carbon, but also you're avoiding all of the other carbon that comes from what a customer who would normally source a traditional wood product would use. And you have something really, really massive. And on a global scale, it could be as big as a 1 gigaton carbon reduction. That is massive, massive. So that got me really excited, and I think the mission is still the same: is to have the greatest impact and to scale the company in a real meaningful way. And I think the thing that shifted a little bit over the last 5 years since the company started is really the goal to change the way that wood products and all materials are transacted, that really become a platform for transparency for all wood products, not just the salvaged trees that are out there.
So, so it's a technology solution as much as a physical one.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I think is really going to differentiate our company and our platform as we continue to scale.
Okay, so tell me, let's maybe look at those two sides. I just picture like somebody going out like, "Okay, I found a tree." Like, how do you actually do this at scale?
Yes, and technology, it's a great lead-in. Technology is the solution for that. And I think from day one, even those early days of the company when it was just the five of us trying to figure out the next steps, technology was always going to be a part of that story.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to tell a consumer with full credibility and authenticity that they are getting a salvaged, most sustainable lumber product on the market, or wood product, you can't just say, "Man, I really love Jeff. Jeff's a good guy. I trust Jeff. I believe him. That's good. Good enough for me." You really have to back it up, and you have to do it in a way, especially in 2025 and even 5 years ago, greenwashing is very prevalent, right? There has been, coming out of COVID specifically, there's been a lot of ways that people have used sustainability as a way to just grab additional margin. And so consumers are savvy and they want to understand where things come from. They want to know that if they specify something or if they put it on their home or their project, that it truly is standing for what they believe in. And so technology for us had to be a big part of the story. And so we have a piece of technology that provides transparency into our supply chain. So that's the one overarching part of it. Allows us to really tell the full story of where that tree came down, where it went to be turned into lumber, how it was dried, and then how it was processed to be shipped to the last stage of the project. So that's the really exciting part of the technology. The second part is we're actually making it a lot easier for every stakeholder in the wood products value chain to do their job better. So going back to your initial question is like, you think about, well, there's a tree that fell down, or a couple trees came down over there, or there's a storm in North Carolina. How do we achieve all these things, right? And truly, it's the technology that's in place. We have technology now that has opened up an entire new line of commerce for tree service and arborists all across the East Coast. So that's really where the software is most prevalent right now. From Maine to Florida, we have a piece of software that allows these arborists and tree services that normally would be dealing with their fallen trees. They'd be cutting them up into small pieces. They'd be putting them into mulch or compost or chips.
Right.
And really, 90% of that material across the entire country, 90% of the trees that come down go into landfill, right? Or get chipped or put into its lowest grade product. So, and they're paying that. Think about this, right? The tree service companies, arborists, they're paying tipping fees to be able to dispose that. And our landfills are filling up. They're starting to close. You have all these competing problems. And so the software allows tree services to be educated on how to aggregate their logs, how to grade them, and then we have our platform has our truckers. So we have a bunch of truckers on our platform that come and pick up those logs, make it super, super easy, and deliver them to a sawmill where then that tree service can get paid for that material, and we have the full transparency tracking through the entire thing, the full chain of custody. And it's really, we call it Uber for logs in a way that makes it.
That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah. And it's just an app and a piece of technology that allows that, and then that gives us full visibility into the material that comes down.
So basically, anybody, big or small, can plug into this ecosystem, and it's like you can form the partnerships you need to get the different steps in the process done, and then there's the data to show the A to Z journey of the lumber.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, cool. You did a great job explaining, so I had to make sure I got it. So that's great.
No, you did a great
So,
job.
well, no, credit to you. So, I mean, that's so cool. So I'm wondering, like, is there any difference? Like, does it matter how long that the trees have been sitting there? Like, does the grade of the lumber go down if it's old and dried out? You know what I mean?
Sure. Oh man, this is another really interesting and dense topic for sure. So the traditional lumber industry lives and breathes based on grades. There's multiple grades for logs, there's multiple grades for lumber, there's different grades for hardwood and softwood lumber as well. So there's all this different language, and how those grades work is they really impact cost and price and what you're able to buy and sell and trade this material for in the traditional lumber space. And so in the salvaged world, we really had to anchor back to that and have an eye on how that language and how that common language is being used in the industry. So that's super important, number one, as like an anchoring. But number two, you're 100% right. When we're talking about salvage material, this is material that grows in cities and parks, in Central Park, or some street tree somewhere, or in some suburban backyard from time to time. These are trees that have had to compete for sunlight. They're not grown on a plantation to be straight and
Perfect,
quick growing and perfect, right? And so you get some more character in these logs and the lumber, and so being able to set those right expectations, and in most cases that character is beauty, right? If you're telling the right story.
Yeah.
In other cases, you have to be very careful because it also comes down to not every species is the same of a tree. So you're 100% right. Some species, the logs have to be cut into lumber right away. Others, the
Interesting.
logs can sit out for 8 or 9 months and be totally fine. So it's really about having the technical expertise to know what species needs to be harvested when. And then for us, especially for me, who I run the sales organization at Cambium and run all of our partnerships, to really understand how to take that material and turn it into a product. That has been the secret sauce too. And setting the right expectation with the customer is important because they've been experiencing lumber and wood products a certain way their entire lives, and we are introducing something new to them, which is both exciting but also needs to have the right expectation set.
Right. So I think that's a perfect segue into the more sales and marketing part of the conversation. So, I mean, I had no idea this was something you could do. It's you've only been around for 5 years. So how are you generating new clients and new partnerships, and then how's the education process for helping them see the light in this system?
Yeah, that's been the fun part of the journey for sure, is that aha moment that we get with customers. That's been a lot of fun. So we go to market right now through 3 verticals, and I'll tell you, 5 years ago we maybe didn't quite have that figured out of where the fit was going to be, but from a lot of work and a lot of travel and a lot of understanding the supply chain and building it out, we've really found great product market fit with furniture. So we work with domestic furniture producers that want to use solid wood. Makes it very easy because they're manufacturing in the United States, so that's very easy, which a lot of furniture still to this day isn't manufactured domestically. We work with them so that they can use a more sustainable material and be attached to a real cool story that then they can pass on to their customers. And so that's been probably the first product market fit that we had. That was the first connection point. And one of the cool stories, to tell a quick anecdote here, when we first started finding this material and all these material stories of waste around the country, one of the first stories we stumbled on was the story of English walnut. An English walnut is a type of walnut lumber and tree that grows and is really grown in orchards on the West Coast. And it's truly what farmers grow for the walnuts that we eat at the grocery store. So English walnut trees are grown, but after about 45 years, the trees stop dropping walnuts at the same rate. And so farmers approach that as a crop that is not yielding what they need to make their tight margins. And so they just go in there and they clear cut the entire orchard.
Crazy.
And
Yeah.
It's literally like the Lorax. It stumps as far as the eye can see. It is insane what you can see. The pictures are wild. And
Ugh.
they just bulldoze the material and really just light it on fire and get rid of it. And in a lot of cases,
Yikes.
because the trees only grew for 40 years, right? So you don't have this gorgeous straight, 40-foot tall tree. You've
Right.
got maybe usable lumber that is 6 feet at best that you can get out of the tree. And anything based on traditional industry grading says under 8 feet, trash. So there's just never
Oof.
been a market for it. And
Yeah.
so we stumbled on this almost unlimited supply. However, it's busy material. It's only 6 foot. It tends to move because it's an orchard tree that hasn't really set the way that it's supposed to. It's usually grafted on another
Yeah.
tree as well for strength. So there's all this limitations. And so we worked with a company called Room and Board, which is a great furniture company, national brand, makes really beautiful furniture domestically. And it was the first time that I saw that aha moment with the customer, and we had it together, where they were originally trying to design. They had a design, and they were trying to make the material fit into an existing design. And that wasn't really, because again, the limitations of the material, that
Right.
wasn't really getting where we want them to go. So what did they do? They said, well, let's stop doing that. Let's design around the
Based
material.
on this. Cool.
That was an aha moment, because that's what we should be doing as a society too, is like we're throwing this stuff away. Yes, it has some limitations and some constraints, but it can be 85-90% of what we want it to be. How do we do better on design? How do we do better way more upstream to make sure that this turns into something we can use? And now that's been one of the most successful programs that we
So
have in our
cool.
furniture division. Yeah, it's very cool. Very, very cool story. So that is one vertical, very exciting. We also have millwork and mass timber, which are both built environment associated. Mass timber is an exciting, growing vertical within the United States, really built out in Europe well right now, but is starting to gain a lot of traction here. Is growing at a, I don't know, 35 or 40% compound annual growth rate in the U.S., like fast growing industry.
Yeah.
And then millwork for us is anything that's non-structural, so it's decking, siding, fencing, flooring, wall
Yeah.
cladding. So great use case for the product.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I have to go back 2 seconds just with what you
Yeah.
said about the Lorax. Have you ever said to anyone, I speak for the trees?
Oh my goodness. So I have not said any of that directly. However,
Maybe
I
you
will
should.
keep full transparency. I do have there is one of our employees, Zach, that has really embraced that. Actually has a couple slides in his presentation deck. I think he even has a Lorax glasses and mustache that he pulls out every once
That's
in a
so
while.
great.
So, yeah.
I love that. Well, and I'm loving from this conversation. I can just tell that you really have understood that you have to turn everything into storytelling. And I mean, that's just a little quip, but like
Yeah.
the journey of where this tree came from and how you, like the design process, I can see people getting it and having that light bulb moment. So that's very cool. Anyway, so let's go back to your three verticals. So maybe you've learned a lot along the way and kind of dialed that in. So what's the challenge of the moment?
Yeah, I think the challenge is growing fast and scale, right? Like the scale of the problem is massive. The
Yeah.
wood products industry is also massive. So those are good check marks to get there. As we've scaled, so a year ago, we were a 25-person company. Now we're a 50-person company.
Yeah.
That's a lot of scale
That's a
real
lot.
quick. The demand's out there, the sales interest continues to spike, and so as we grow, we're having to manage all of that growth, building the supply chains, building the technology, right sizing supply and demand so that we're not getting in over our skis there, but also our systems, our internal systems are just traditional business building systems have to continue to grow and scale with us. And I think that that's always a struggle with any startup or any company to make sure that you're timing that right. And so currently we're going through a new upgrade of our ERP system, going from something that worked really well for us at a
At that
early
level,
stage company
yeah.
to now something that's gonna be good for us for the next 5 years until we become even a larger company. So I think that's what we're focusing on now is systems and making sure that we're creating scalable, repeatable systems for every vertical within the company. I think specifically for our sales vertical and our sales function, our sales team has grown incredibly fast too during the last 18 months, and we are now creating more repeatable processes for the sales team. So frameworks that we can onboard people quicker. As you can know from this conversation, you have to understand not only our products at Cambium, how we go to market, how we tell a story, but you have to know a little bit about species and wood products and all this stuff. And that can be a lot of
or else why is an arborist gonna think that you know what you're talking about? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Arborist, architect, manufacturer, anyone around. We have lots of different customers that we touch. It certainly is tough to get somebody onboarded in a quick way. So the way that we do that better is just having better systems and making onboarding the same way we approach anything that we do at Cambium is just doing it really well with thinking people first and really doing exceptional execution along the way.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, that's a good problem to have, but it's like the problem of success. Like, oh boy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just curious, what's your broader like marketing awareness stuff looking like at the moment?
Yeah, I think for the last we just brought in a new marketing leader over the last 3 months, which has just been very exciting to see her stamp on the company and see the growth that we've had there. I think previously we've done a really, really, really good job on the big M marketing. So the brand side of things, getting Cambium out in the world. Like we got picked up on CNBC, and we've been in Forbes and all these different Fortune, like all these different publications that have done a great job, whether it's our fundraising or whether it's our launch of our mass timber vertical. I think that has been really positive. What we need to focus on now, which I've seen a lot of growth with the new leadership too, is really on the sales enablement side, the growth marketing, the supporting documentation, the updates to the product websites and the product guides and the catalogs and all those things that are so important to be able to get the story right and to get the product in market. And I think we've done a really good job over the last few months, and that's been our focus. Our focus is more organic, big brand growth, and really focusing on the sales enablement side for the next 6 months.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting too, because it's like you can't really get all of that organized and done until you have lots of documentation that needs to be put in the right place. So that makes sense. That's cool. I'm glad you have found some positive leadership there. Mm-hmm. Well, so maybe let's just wrap up. Like, if you could, are there any big misconceptions that you, in conversations you have in any of these verticals, that come up consistently?
Yeah, I think the one thing that's still surprising to me is that when people think about waste wood or salvaged wood or any of these words that get thrown out in the industry, immediately people think about barn boards. Weathered reclaimed wood, right? That's what people still think about.
You think of slivers.
Yeah, of course. You think of a weathered board, something with holes
nails
in it.
Poking out of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what people anchor to. And so that was one of the reasons very early on we knew brand was going to be important, and so we call our material Carbon Smart Wood. So Carbon Smart Wood, obviously great brand, but also puts climate forward, and it doesn't anchor to any of those previous.
Yeah, people don't. Exactly. That's very smart. Like, you just created a new thing so that people can learn what the thing is without having it jumbled up with misconceptions. So
Exactly. And making it really easy for architects to specify, because a lot of times architects will want to meet a green building certification, living future, LEED, and a lot of language in there is salvage, recycled, reclaimed, local. Like, there's all these good verbiages, but having an architect say, I want salvaged wood, it doesn't actually help somebody get that material on the spec or on the project easier. So by saying Carbon Smart Wood, not only is that a brand that stands for all these beautiful things we've talked about today, but also it makes it just really easy to get that thing specified quicker. And I think that's the one thing, is the misconception just around anchoring to the idea of reclaimed wood and the idea that you have to sacrifice aesthetics. Like, this material is truly, truly beautiful. not only is it character driven, but it actually looks exactly like all the other material that you're going to compare it to on the market. And we do a lot of creative things, not only like the English walnut that we talked about before. I even have these shelves up here that are made out of English walnut too,
Nice.
just because I think it's so beautiful and so fantastic of a product. But we also do cool, innovative things like thermal modification, which allows us to solve problems of uniformity. You know, when you see something like a soft maple or a sycamore, some of these trees that are really in every city that just go underutilized. Big reason they go underutilized is from tree to tree, board to board, they just look different. And so that's really hard for somebody to say, I want this. An architect sees a sample and says, I expect it to look like this.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's tough. So what we do is we thermally modify it, which actually changes the color to look like a darker walnut tone. And you take that complaint or that problem right off of the table.
Interesting.
That's the cool stuff, is that we can innovate here. We can not have to sacrifice aesthetics. We are talking about beautiful, fresh cut wood, and we're doing it for price parity in a lot of ways, which is the perfect trifecta of success here. So that's usually the things that come up, those questions for us that I think are common misconceptions that I'm constantly working on.
Okay, that was great. I'm glad you brought up the price factor. I forgot to ask about that. So is this, like, are people making decisions to switch to this for financial reasons, or is it just one of the factors?
Yeah, so for us, it's about reaching price parity in a way that makes it so the cost of the product actually doesn't come into the decision-making process. Like, that is one of my personal, like, as an individual, I'm not talking about Cambium, as Jeff, one of my personal pet peeves, especially doing the degree with the focus in sustainability and talking to colleagues I have that were at sustainability at Macy's or sustainability at Walmart, all these large positions, you hear these horror stories, not from those companies, but horror stories from the vendors, right, that see opportunities by positioning sustainability products and making them more expensive just because the margin,
just because they want more money. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's one of my personal things that I like to champion is I want to make it so cost is not an option for somebody to make a more sustainable choice.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
I think it needs to be that way to make it scalable in every industry. And, you know, that's the challenge we've been facing in energy and stuff. But now it's like, it's the smarter choice. So, like, I think people will continue to adopt it regardless of what their, you know, politics or personal beliefs are. So it's just,
exactly,
it's a smart decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Jeff, you're very well spoken. I can tell you are used to those sales conversations. So thanks for sharing with us today. This has been fun.
Sure, no problem.
And you should get your own Lorax glasses, and I love it.
Yes, I love it too. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a fun conversation, and really appreciate the energy too.
Yes, same. All right, well, best of luck, and I'll be watching closely.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Green Disruptors. A big thank you to Jeff Cohen and the team at Cambium for showing us what's possible when innovation meets nature. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps us keep spotlighting leaders who are redefining what sustainability can look like. To learn more about Cambium's mission and their carbon smart wood, visit cambiumcarbon.com. Until next time, keep asking better questions and building a greener future.